Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I hope you all had some happy holidays and a prosperous new year. I really enjoyed doing the stream for the event the other day, and it was nice to have something a little more easygoing after the Seaborn content tested everyone's accounts. Now, one thing I did mention a couple times during the stream was the fact that I'm going to be looking to hire an editor for my videos and to bring back the story content. I've kind of poked my head around in a couple communities, but I figured I'd bring it up here because I'd preferably like to hire someone who has some insight towards the game and community. If anyone wants to get back to me on this, I'm going to be actually leaving my Discord details here. Anyways, I'll actually get back to the manga now. Spoiler warning as always for anyone who hasn't watched the previous episodes or read the manga, and with that, let's begin. Last chapter we left off with Telosis dropping a hint for Ifrit as she was departing the medical facility, but in the background we could see Silence lingering just out of sight. This chapter, however, we cut straight into a flashback where we can see a young Saria carrying a broken toy with tears in her eyes.
Papa, Toby and the other kids are bullying me. They even broke my little car.
How many times have I told you? Do not cry. Do you think that crying would solve anything? That showing your emotions would stop you from being bullied? No, Saria. If you're being bullied, beat them back. If your little car is broken, fix it. You must be responsible for your own weaknesses. Little Saria then clenches her fist at her father's remarks when we cut to her working on repairing the toy in what seems to be a classroom setting. After that, we cut to a montage of events starting with an older teenage Saria landing a heavy strike on a punching bag, before we switch to Saria presumably in college giving a presentation when a member from the audience speaks up.
Saria, are you saying that people's emotions aren't real?
No, I'm saying that emotions are caused by humanity's egoism. It is a type of cause and effect. This explanation is logical and fits in with scientific thinking. I respect this logical behavior. I just think it is meaningless to display emotions, as it wouldn't solve anything. It would be stupid to lose your ability to make decisions due to your emotions. Just like the one who stood up just now. You. Afterwards, we flash to sometime fairly close to the present, as we can see Saria wearing her Rhine Labs attire as she kneels down to speak to a distressed child.
Help. Papa, Mama, and the others.
We received a distress signal. Where are they?
Catastrophe. I can't believe a catastrophe.
Do not cry. Crying would not solve anything. If you want your parents to be rescued, tell me their location. Did you come here using this road? How long have you walked? The young boy does his best to answer her questions when Saria and the defense member depart. As they're driving, he speaks up. You scared him. He would have only lowered the chances of his parents' survival. Director Saria, he's just a helpless boy. Then it is time for him to grow up. We then transition to a scene of chaos and smoke where the defense member is calling out to Saria. Director Saria, we found a survivor over here. What's the situation? It's a little girl. Seems like she's not being crushed by anything, but she seems to be in a poor physical state. The entrance is too small. We can't get in. Can we blow it open? It would be too late. We can't use large equipment. If we try to open it with manpower alone, the water would have filled up by now. Can you hear me? My name is Saria. Listen here. We can't dig open this hole in time. If you want to live, then climb over here and grab my hand. It's obvious now that the endangered child is Ifrit, who just manages to roll over to her hands and feet before pulling herself up and grasping Saria's wrist. We then cut to just moments after Saria hands Ifrit over to Silence for the emergency care. Once everyone was out of view, the defense member checks on Saria's hands and offers to treat them. Director Saria, are your hands hurt? Let me help you treat it. No need. This kid. It seems like she mustered up all the energy in her body. The flashbacks end here, and we're then shown the various stages of Saria's life as a title page before moving on to Saria sitting at her desk. Suddenly, her phone gets a notification for the arrangement set up by Telosis. Saria then makes her way down the corridor, and as she makes her way to the medical center, we can see Ifrit simultaneously sneaking out of her room.
Saria!
Ifrit.
I finally found you! Where were you, Saria? I tried to find you so many times, but I couldn't find you no matter how. Nobody would tell me where you were. Silence wouldn't tell me either. And why didn't you come to visit me? I can't even think of anything to say, even though there's so many things I want to tell you.
Are you doing well over here?
Yes, I'm doing very well.
Silence and Big Sister Joyce are giving me treatment here. I'm already doing much better. Everyone in Rhodes Island is treating me well. They have taught me a lot of things. It's just that Silence gives me a lot of homework. And she keeps saying you're very busy, not allowing me to find you.
All right. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I'll definitely do better, so please don't ignore me, okay?
Why are you apologizing?
I heard that I caused some big trouble in Rhine Lab, and it gave you a lot of trouble for it, right? Sorry, the reason you wouldn't come visit me is because you're mad at me, right?
No. You did not do anything wrong. I am also not angry at you.
Then, why wouldn't you come and visit me after coming to Rhodes Island?
Sorry. There are a lot of reasons. As Saria struggles to give Ifrit an answer, it's shown that Dahlia woke up, but before she steps out, she notices she has a nosebleed and wipes away the blood from her face before walking out when Ifrit notices her and runs to her side.
Oh, Dahlia! You're awake!
As Dahlia looks over, Saria's presence and cold demeanor puts her on guard.
Come on, follow your boss, don't be scared.
I told you, Saria is a good person. She saved my life and treats me very well. Boss?
Right now, she is my underling. Silence has asked me to take good care of her, but she's still a little bit afraid of you.
It's all a misunderstanding. I'll explain everything to her later.
Dahlia then approaches Saria before holding out her hand and offering a piece of candy.
Dahlia then thanks Saria for saving Ifrit, who can be seen smiling on at the two of them. Saria then kneels down to pick up the candy and return the thanks when suddenly we can hear footsteps approaching.
This sound. It's the patrolling operator! If they see me, Silence is gonna scold me later.
Suddenly Ifrit grabs Saria's hands in hers.
You must come see me often, okay? I remember the sound of your footsteps. I'll know when you come. See you, Saria.
As Ifrit and Dahlia run back into the room, Saria noticed a feather hanging from Ifrit's necklace before reaching down and touching an identical one on a charm attached to her belt. We then flash back to the past where we can see Ifrit struggling to endure the injections she was receiving as treatment at Rhine Lab, though Saria was at her side with her hand over Ifrit's in an attempt to comfort her. Silence and Parvis are seen looking onward when Silence turns to Parvis.
Professor, Ifrit's pain during the treatment is increasing dramatically. So far, the dosage of the activation agent being injected is already higher than all other cases we know of. Isn't this too...
Pain is a normal symptom. As for the dosage, Silence, don't forget that this treatment is experimental in nature. There isn't a case where it is a guaranteed success. What we're doing now is uncharted waters.
Yes, I understand.
Suddenly, Ifrit's cries can be heard again, and it's seen that everyone is watching the procedure. The injections are then completed, and Silence rushes in to check on Ifrit. As she does, we can see that the same charm from Ifrit's necklace was being clutched in her hand throughout the treatment.
It's all right now. It's over. Ifrit has been very brave.
Silence. This is...
Oh! After talking about gifts that day, I thought I should make one for Ifrit too, to wish her a smooth treatment.
I see. The two of them then walk back into the room where Parvis is seen talking to Joyce. Director Parvis.
Oh, Director Saria. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to see the patient.
It's nothing. Ifrit's pain during the treatment lately has been getting worse.
That's a side effect of the activation agent. The activation agent would crystallize the Originium inside the body, causing the pain.
Reducing the patient's suffering is also part of the treatment. We should increase the painkillers.
You're worrying too much. We'll adjust it when appropriate.
Silence. I'll need to continue my investigation out in the field. I'll be leaving for today.
Oh. Saria, let me accompany you on the way out.
There's no need for that, Silence.
Oh, sorry,
What's wrong? Silence then quickly pulls out the matching charm that we saw in the present and hands it to Saria.
Here, a gift for you. I hope that your investigation goes well.
Thank you. We then cut to Saria and an unfamiliar character accompanying her as they explore the ruins and debris of the research lab where Ifrit was found. This is the director of Rhine Lab's ecological section, Mulces, a cheeky blonde-haired elf with green accessories in her hair, and as far as I'm aware, the only confirmed elf that is currently known in the Arknights universe.
Can we even find anything in this pile of debris? Isn't it just better if you ask that surviving girl instead of coming to this barren wasteland to suffer?
Ifrit would enter an agitated state if she tries to remember anything. We can't ask her for anything useful. Besides, field investigation is required anyway. If you feel like you're suffering just from being here, you can go back and work on what the ecological section is doing. The defense section can handle this on its own.
Don't be angry, I'm just venting. Rhine Lab sending 2 directors to this barren field with just the request of the mayor? Why would someone as noble as Control accept this kind of errand?
Her nobility isn't necessarily a good thing. Taking this request was the correct decision. After all, carrying out rescue and investigations within our field of expertise is part of Rhine Lab's social responsibility. Rhine Lab cannot and should not be totally isolated from society.
Oh, that's quite frank.
My position on this matter has always been clear. You can go ahead and tell Kirsten no need to send someone to spy on me.
Oh, what a bad way of saying it, implying I'm the eyes and ears of Control.
If that's the case, why don't you at least do something useful? It'll be hard to explain to the mayor if someone from the media took a picture of how you look now.
Yes, Director Saria. But still, Control has asked very little about the assignments taken by the defense section for the past 2 years. No, it would be more correct to say that Control has asked very little about most sections' affairs. Not showing herself, only focusing on whatever research she's interested in, and now she suddenly cares about this assignment. I'm so not used to it.
Something that forces her to look back at reality. I think it can be considered a good thing.
I've been meaning to ask, where'd this feather come from? I cannot imagine the look of you slowly choosing something from the accessory store.
It's a gift from a friend.
Huh? I can't believe there is someone who would give a present to the scary-looking Director Saria.
Do I look that scary? You're joking, right?
By the way, what are you looking for? If you want me to help, then tell me what I need to do.
Look at this route. There should be a basement.
Yeah, but where would the door to the basement be?
Suddenly, Saria grabs hold of the locker she had her eyes fixed on and simply pulls it out of the way, revealing a path to the basement before the two of them proceed to make their way down. Mulces is then the first to remark about the discovered underground lab.
Is this for real? The scale of this lab would make it one of the largest in Colombia. Why haven't I heard before that Hayden Pharmaceuticals had such a large lab?
Mulces continues to make note of their advanced tech as opposed to Rhine Labs when the two of them make their way to a surveillance room. As the two begin searching around, Saria notes that the tapes had already been taken away and begins making a report over the walkie when, suddenly, Mulces seems to find one that was forgotten about in the recorder itself.
It seems like they didn't do a good enough job cleaning it up. There's still a tape here. Huh. They neglected the tape inside the recorder. The footage inside must be captured on the day of the explosion. But this recorder seems to be broken. If we could find some tools to take it out...
Saria then proceeds to yank the recorder out in one swift motion before pulling off the top portion to secure what was left of the tape.
Looks like that won't be needed. The inner layers seem fine, though the outer layer's screwed. But we should still be able to fix it. Why don't we return to the car and check the good parts?
We then cut to the two of them standing outside their vehicle where they are loading the film reel into their setup. At first, all they're able to see and hear is static when it starts cutting in and out.
It is now 17, afternoon 20, 4 p.m. Carrying out subject Ifrit. Experiment number.
The duo then take out a needle before proceeding to inject Ifrit with it, causing her to let out an ear-piercing scream. The two of them can only watch on speechless for so long until Mulces takes it upon herself to close the computer screen.
They were carrying out illegal human experimentation right underneath Tremin. Hayden Pharmaceuticals, how dare they? I'll look for someone to fix this, see if we can see what happened on that day of the explosion. How about you? I'll investigate Hayden Pharmaceuticals' background. A small company like that shouldn't be able to possess such a large lab.
Suddenly, Mulesys pulls a piece of candy from her pocket and tosses it to Saria.
Sugar can help calm your emotions. It'll make you feel better. I don't need it. If you don't want it, you can give it to Ifrit. Looks like the pain she has suffered had been much worse than we thought. Mulesys then gets into the car and waits for Saria before we cut back to Rhine Labs. Here, Silence is giving Ifrit her treatment, Mulesys is dropping off the footage with another Rhine Lab staff member, and Saria is seen formally dressed and shaking the hand of someone when we cut back to Saria walking in as Silence is discussing how she believes the dosage is too risky with Parvis. I still think this dosage is too risky.
Silence, this matter cannot...
Sorry, am I interrupting your conversation?
It's alright. We were just discussing about some small issues related to the treatment.
Ifrit's reaction to the pain has been getting worse. Plus, the Originium attraction seems to have reached a bottleneck. I have adjusted the activation agent's formula, but the professor wishes that the dosage amount should be turned up a notch as well.
I think the bottleneck is related to the dosage amount. Ifrit is still suffering from severe oropathy. She needs to get used to the new drug concentration amount for the treatment to be effective. Silence, I know you understand this. Do it without hesitation. I give you my full support.
I understand. Saria, thankfully you came. We can foresee that Ifrit will be in a lot of pain during this treatment. With you around, she can feel a little better. Don't worry, I'll be together with her.
Alright, let's get started.
Silence begins to make preparations for the next treatment while Saria sits at Ifrit's side. Ifrit, the treatment this time is a bit special. It might be more painful than the previous ones, but this is so we can cure your sickness. You need to endure it, okay? Saria will also be here with you together. Ifrit makes eye contact with Saria before looking at Silence when suddenly one of the medics from before enters the room with some restraints in hand, which causes Ifrit to immediately start freaking out. Ifrit hides her face in her hands as Saria and Silence try to take control of the situation. Ifrit, what's wrong? What's the meaning of this? The professor says that because she may throw a bigger reaction this time, it's better to restrain her a little to prevent her from hurting herself. Take it away. Can't you see that the patient is agitated upon seeing that thing? But I'll be here to guarantee her safety. Alright. It's alright now. We won't be using that thing. I'm sure Ifrit will be able to endure it, right? After everything is settled down, we can see the preparations being finished while Saria continues to sit across from Ifrit in an attempt to comfort her.
Injection begin.
The treatment begins, and as the procedure takes its course, Ifrit clutches the sheets in an attempt to keep her composure, but it's clear by the look on her face that it's really starting to get to her. The injections administered continue their process when Saria takes Ifrit's hand in hers. Ifrit, are you okay? As Ifrit gets more distressed, Silence grows more concerned when suddenly Ifrit hits a point where she starts to cry out in pain until the cries become wails of suffering. Saria calls out Ifrit's name when she notices her Originium art starting to manifest in her hands. With the flames spreading uncontrollably, Saria pins down Ifrit's hands and begins to use her calcification to help contain the arts. Silence! She's losing control of her Originium arts! Professor!
Our life signs are still within the expected parameters. Please endure it for a little longer. The injection will be complete soon.
As the screaming continues, it's seen that Joyce, Albert, and Lomi are all still there observing the treatment, but it's clear by the look on their faces that they were having a hard time watching Ifrit suffer. The roaring flames continued and seemed to be almost in tandem with how much she was suffering, and at this point Silence couldn't help but to look away until suddenly...
Injection complete.
Albert and Lomi rush in first with what seems to be a fire blanket and begin putting out all of the flames subsequently created, but when Saria begins to let up on Ifrit, it's immediately apparent just how much of a toll this had on her psyche. The look on Ifrit's face is almost warped by how overwhelmed she was, and as everyone drew closer to her... Ifrit! Look at me. The injection is complete. It's all right now. Ifrit, you did really well.
No. No more experiments. No more pain. Get away from me. No more.
She's talking?
Bad people. Bad people. Bad people.
Bad people. Ifrit, what are you saying?
Bad people. Bad people. Bad people.
Ifrit, there's no bad people here. Ifrit.
Bad people. Bad people.
Suddenly, Saria pulls the candy from Yulci's out of her pocket before unwrapping it. As Ifrit reluctantly takes the candy, her face immediately softens and her shoulders drop before tears swell up in her eyes. Suddenly, Ifrit bursts into tears and begins to clutch onto Saria. Ifrit, don't cry. Crying won't... But just when Saria was about to repeat the exact words her father said to her,
Bad people bullying me.
Do not cry.
don't be scared. I will punish those bad people. I will stop them from doing any more bad things to you. The people here will protect you. I will protect you. Ifrit then lets out a long cry into Saria's shoulder, and the two of them sit with one another for some time before we cut to later on as Saria is having to depart from the office.
Saria, are you leaving?
Yes, I still need to settle some things. I'll be here for your next treatment.
Candy was delicious.
I'll bring more for you next time.
Yay.
Saria continues on her way out, but just as she's leaving, Parvis calls out to her.
Director Saria, were you hurt just now? Do you need treatment?
No need. But regarding today's treatment, I need to talk with you, Director Parvis.
Oh?
And with that, the chapter ends.
Whew. Oh man. Wyvern Mama Saria is pissed, but goddamn, I am not even kidding when I say half of the time, the end of these episodes have me at a loss for words. At this point, I just don't even know what to say, but I guess I'll ask y'all what you think of Parvis. I know I just want to see Saria punch him in the mouth, but we'll just have to wait and see what comes next. Thank you again to everyone who watches these. I really appreciate it. I try not to ask for likes and subscribes, but maybe it's something I should start incorporating into the videos. I'll also be keeping an eye on my Discord and Instagram in case anyone reaches out about the editor opportunity, but until next time for now, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.